All right, I'm here with Don Firestone, Bruce Firestone, and Mark Turner. We're just getting an update. Today is the 5th of November, 2020. We're getting an update on this very exciting historical renovation that we're doing at 249253 Front Street. And Mark was just about to tell us when I started recording this session where we're at now and where we're going. Okay, over to you, Mark.
Okay, so we've got C&E Mechanical involved now. They're preparing the workups for the building, the entire building, based on what the building is going to be. Today we had a meeting with Sandy from Greer Galloway. He's an architect with Greer Galloway, and gave him a tour of the building. His understudy and assistant Jordan was in a couple of days ago, and just to get a preliminary look. So where we're going is we're bringing in all the professionals that are necessary to define what this building is going to be. And that includes mechanicals, being heating, plumbing, that type of thing, a boiler, and the architect who's going to do up the final plans for the spaces, the fire protection, what have you. There's going to be an engineer involved. Whether it includes Mark Bergenhill as structural, or whether we have another structural engineer involved, that's going to be determined by Mark Bergenhill's ability. There's a suggestion right now, or a thought that we have, that this might be too big a project for him to chew off. He's been able to help in the preliminary matters. We've got the water on. That was done Monday. We've got power to the building. That was accomplished approximately a week and a half ago through Mark Bergenhill. So we're bringing in all the professionals necessary to define and come up with our plans. Today, Don and I had a conversation with Brad, who is the probably the lead point for C&E Mechanical, the heating and what have you. And what we like to do as soon as possible is have a thumb sketch of costs from C&E. Now, those costs would pertain to the planning stage. And then also they'll be working on the implementation stage in terms of cost. So right now we're just developing our plan. We're formalizing plans through the architect. We'll be looking to the architect, I think, within the next week to week and a half to give us an idea of what their costs are going to be. All services are necessary to get to where we want to go. The involvement of the architect and C&E at City Hall is important in terms of us getting a demolition permit. We still don't have a demolition permit, but with their involvement now, the chief building official just indicated to me he needs a professional involved to make assurances and guarantees as much as they can that this project's going to move forward. There's always a concern when you're tearing a building apart. You're tearing out the envelope, it's called, and you're removing some of the fire protection. And I'll touch on the fire protection in a minute. So the involvement of the architect's key. Yes, we're going forward. This is the intent of the owners to proceed with this. And that on that basis, we'll obtain our demolition permit. Our demolition so far, it's likely crossed the line in terms of what's allowable without the demo permit. I took the position that I wanted to empty the whole kitchen out, which is done. The ceilings are torn down, the walls are up. We know what we've got, and all those areas pose a risk to the safety. My position was that we had to tear it down just to be safe. I haven't gone any further with the other side of the restaurant in terms of like the north side, for instance, 253. Waiting a few days until we get that permit. So where we're at, and I'd like to touch on the fire issue because it's very important. I was just a bit late because we had the fire department there. It's a routine walkthrough for them. They had 6 or 7 of their officers there, and that is just to acquaint themselves with the building. So if there is a problem, they know where they're going and what's located where. Previously, last week, I had John Lake in, who is the fire prevention officer, and I laid out our plan of attack. He was very cooperative. He was great. I told him we would have the water on, which we do now as of Monday. I've had Quinny Fire in. Quinny Fire installed the sprinkler system in the basement probably 7 years ago, and it's still viable. It hasn't deteriorated much. We may be looking at replacing some of the sprinkler heads. So I told John, now the fire chief was fairly adamant. He wanted to see the sprinkler system up and going, just given the size of the building, what have you. I don't have an idea of cost yet. My sense is we're not paying for installation of a system. We're paying for perhaps installation of new shower or sprinkler heads, which we're going to need at some point. They were corroded a little bit. The panel that went in, for instance, the electric panel, we've got 4 outlets coming off now, but the ESA inspector, Shane, he just thought it was better if we just replaced the panel, which we did. And I agreed with him. It's taken so much moisture on it. It's likely a safety issue in terms of corrosion. So the fire suppression issue has become an important issue. Alarm systems has come in. There's a panel downstairs that was monitored at one time. The way I've addressed it, and you'll be hearing from Rick from Fire Alarm Systems, there's much of the old system that can be repurposed and reused now to be able to deal with costs, keep our costs down. At some point in time when we get everything opened up upstairs and downstairs, and we get to the point where we're ready to start closing up again, then we're going to be looking at installation of a more complete system. Second and third floor is going to run with pull stations for fire and heat or smoke detectors and possibly heat detectors. We're going with heat detectors on the main ground floor level now, and smoke detectors. There's some in the basement. There's some that we can reuse on the main floor. So that's going to be monitored. And it's a very important thing to give a level of comfort to the city and the fire department. So going forward from here, we've got all our service providers starting to work things up. I'd like to be able to express an opinion as to timing. I think 2 weeks going forward, we are going to have a pretty good idea of where we stand in terms of what's going where. We'll have preliminary workups based on what they have already, the sketches for the apartments themselves, the second and third. Based on that, C&E Mechanical will have their minds around what's going to be necessary. They have a good sketch now, but they need that participation from the architect to be able to define, to be able to assess. So there's going to be 2 stages here: the planning stage and determining what goes where, and costing from all service providers in terms of what it's going to take to get through the planning stage. Then there's the implementation stage. C&E will have numbers for us on that once they have the overall plans. We'll know what the architect's fees are, the engineer's fees, etc., probably within the next 2 to 3 weeks. From there, we're going to start getting the second and third floor going forward next week. The issue of the roof, the tar and gravel roof, we had the main unit craned off the rooftop. We had the fire escape craned off, cut away and craned off. It was non-compliant and it was didn't meet code at all. So it's all removed. What becomes obvious and evident now, I think I touched on it with you briefly, Don, the supporting joist system for the area in particular above where the kitchen was is deficient in 2 different ways. We've uncovered joists that have been twinned together, but they stop and go nowhere. Joists have been cut to allow ductwork to pass through to the roof. And the area where it was leaking the worst to the north side, it's taken a lot of water on, so I'm not confident that those joists have much structural integrity. So we're waiting on a plan, and this brings us back to the issue of Mark V. We're waiting on a plan to reconstruct that area, new joists going in a manner that's going to meet code. I had Mark in last week and made my concerns and needs known. I haven't heard back. My intention is to have a conversation with him tomorrow just to determine to what extent he's willing to go. he managed to coordinate the installation of the electrical and the plumbing in a fairly quick basis. But I'm still waiting for those plans for that back area, which is affecting the progress in terms of the new roof on the back. So I'm going to talk to Mark B, find out if he has an appetite and a time, and if he doesn't, there's a recommendation through the architect and C&E. There's an engineer that they're in the habit of working with, which will streamline the process. I just want to give Mark B the opportunity to speak his mind and tell me where he stands. I think more what I'm going to do is give him the door out, just so that we can move forward with this in a much quicker fashion. So I'll have that information by the end of the day, and I'll be able to inform you and Don, and I'll be able to inform C&E and the architects to bring this other engineer in. Peter Yee is his name, I think. They're all in the habit of working together, and they work well together. So I think it's a winning formula. In terms of the roof, the tar and gravel roof, I'm starting to have thoughts. I discussed it briefly with Don. Here's my dilemma. We're going into a period of winter. It's going to start to become winter. The weather's turning bad. We don't have plans in place yet to rebuild. For us to create a roof system that's going to last, in my mind, it would last a good 20 years, 25 years. It's all new construction, new joists, new decking, new roof. So therefore, it should last some time. A side note, I inspected your upper roof and sent Don new pictures, and it's in extremely good condition. There's no areas that concern me. It's sound. So back to that lower roof, the other main concern I've got now, I'm looking at the manner in which we're going to be moving material out of that second and third floor. The process is as follows. We're going to remove all the rest of the old appliances and what have you, get them out of there. Remove doors. We're going to stockpile them. Any of the finishes, such as that nice counter that's in that south front office that would appear to be a bank, we're going to dismantle that and store that in the back stable area along with the doors. Then we have to go about knocking partition walls out and taking the walls, the brick walls, down to their natural state, getting rid of the plaster. We're going to have to come out the back with that material onto the roof, which means I don't want to be walking on the new roof, and we're going to ruin it. And that's my dilemma. We need to have a point to get rid of that material. So I guess what I'm saying is I'd like to hold off on the installation of that new roof to be able to get all our materials out. I haven't talked to Dale yet, but I know from previous experience with them down at Century Village, doing a EPDM roof in the middle of winter is not ideal. They can do it if they get dry, clear, and warmer weather. But I'm approximately, I would say, 6 weeks away from having that second and third floor emptied out. I'm about to bring on another 3 or 4 people to be able to get that second and third floor done as quickly as possible before the weather closes in. C&E are talking about bringing in a couple of guys to start stripping the old cast sewer services out. And we touched on that. Rather than rely on the old cast iron sanitary services, what have you, I think given the scope of what we're doing, I think we're far better off to start from scratch and install new. We're going to receive pricing on that just to determine how expensive it is. C&E's offered personnel. My thoughts are I want to discuss price point with them, hourly rate against what we're doing. We can do the work they're proposing. So my thoughts initially, I welcome all the help we can get. I can bring in enough manpower to dismantle. I don't want to have them providing us a man at $40 or $42 an hour to do what we can do for much less. But that's a bridge we'll cross next week when I talk to Brad and just determine exactly what he's proposing financially. If it turns out that their price points around the same as mine, then I welcome them in, and and have them join in just to move this along as quickly as possible. I've given you quite a bit there. Do you have any questions on anything that we've discussed, Bruce?
I have a few, but Dawn, I'm excited to hear some of the new ideas that you've been batting around today. Do you want to share them with me?
Oh, well, I guess Mark, did you come up with that idea? Or Bruce?
Yeah,
Mark had a great idea.
I left that out, Bruce, but I'll cover it. So we've got the stable running east and west, and those commercial units running from Front Street to the back are long. And in a couple of buildings I've been involved in, what we've done is we've shortened that commercial space so that we're basically, someone might say we don't need that entire depth, which is what people are saying. However, we'll use 3/4 of it. But if our intentions are to create an artisan's court, then the backs of, say, the 2 units, like the main part of the restaurant, we could take 30 feet running from that back wall into the unit and turn that into 2 or 3 more artisan shops, which really walks towards creating an artisan's court. So that instead of having the 3 or 4 that run along the old stable, we've got the 3 or 4, and we've got 2 or 3 that run across the back of the building.
Okay.
So that was something that I was just thinking about over the last couple of days, and I haven't discussed except for today with Don, and then the architect I was discussing with him as well.
So I made a short presentation to Planning Committee, the Belleville Planning Committee this week. And they agreed with exactly what you're talking about, Mark. At least they appeared to agree. You know, I hate like heck saying that politicians have agreed to anything until they actually sign off on it. But they do understand. I called it toggle space. It just means it can toggle back and forth. It could be all commercial. It could be partly commercial. And as you called it, I love the term, the artisan court. And one other element that they agreed at least to consider is that one of those artisan courts at the back could be a microsuite, could be another apartment. So I really like your idea. Whether it's your idea or Don's idea or however you guys came up with it, I actually feel you're on the right track. And the back 30 feet is right. Just for information purposes, I did get contacted today. I'll just have to look up the guy's name again. Hang on a second here. I did get contacted by somebody who is not far away from this building. He already has a location there, but he's looking at some point in the next year moving. He runs a store, Mark, you would know it, I'm sure. His name's Kyle Thompson. He runs a store called Park Provisioners.
Oh yeah, I know Kyle.
Yeah, I'm sure you know Kyle. And he's thinking in the next year that he's going to need a bigger space. How big, I don't know. So I will talk to him and find out. But it's that kind of a use, you know, kind of a spa for men. You know, I didn't really think a spa for men would work. But I do actually have clients in Toronto who run a spa for men. And, you know, maybe people like you and me, Mark, are not their target customer. You know, the last time I had a facial was never. The last time I had a manicure was never. The last time I had a haircut was when I had hair, which was a long time ago. So you know, if they relied on somebody like me and maybe you, they would go bankrupt. But a lot of the younger men do. They love this stuff, you know, and they want to look good and rightly so, and take care of themselves. So again, I'm with you on that. So whether it's 1 or 2 or 3 retail spaces, that makes a lot of sense. And then the back 30 feet can certainly be an artisanal court, which is a term I'm going to steal from you, Mark, or it could be an artisanal court and another microsuite, because a lot of people want to, as you have heard me talk about before, and I talked to the planning committee as well, they want to be able to live and work in the same spot. So I think we're all on the same wavelength here. But I guess the reason I really needed to talk to you, Mark, and Dawn as well, is I've got to raise about $900,000. That's just a guess on my part. About $900,000 to make sure that we can complete this. There's no point in getting halfway through and then you know, we go, oh my gosh, you know, we've run out of money. So what I was hoping to get from you, and it doesn't have to be today, and it doesn't have to be this week, but maybe next week if you have time and if you have the numbers, would be, to me, I think it's always been exactly what you talked about, which is a two-stage project. But to me, stage one is not just about planning and costing. That's what a lot of people do in these kinds of projects, Mark. They do lots of planning and costing, and then they never actually do anything. They design really beautiful plans, and they apply for building permits, and they do this, that, and the other thing, and then they actually never implement. So to my way of thinking, and you and I've talked about this before, and certainly I've talked to Don about it, is I think your approach is kind of like a New York City cop, right? They go bang, 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 stop, right? Shoot first and ask questions later. That's a bad idea if you're a police officer, but it's a good idea if you're doing projects that are as difficult as this one. So what I was hoping to get from you maybe next week is how long it's going to take you to get the basics done. Number one, make sure that the structure is safe. Number two, get all the utilities connected, of which you've already done quite a bit of work. Get the heat on. You know, get the cleanup done. Get the demolition done. And so that we have a safe building envelope that's heated, that the water's on, that the, you know, we've protected it from potential fire, it's cleaned up. And to me, that would be more important than working with the mechanical guys to design a mechanical system that does all of these micro suites and apartments and all of these different units, because that we can do in February. Once we have a safe building envelope that's heated, etc. So my main concern is getting stage one completed. And as I mentioned to you when we first talked about it, my hope is that we could get stage one completed by January 31st. So I listen. Of course, go ahead.
Sorry, I think, and Mark, you can explain it. I think that unless you have some of these people involved, you won't get a demolition permit.
I'm not arguing how to do it. I'm not arguing against having other people involved, but what I am concerned about is I do not want to spend a tremendous amount of time on detailed planning for everything that we have to do between now and maybe this time next year to complete this building. I really focused, and I've done a lot of this kind of work, Dawn. You know, this is not my first rodeo, and I know Mark's done even more of it than I have, so I would defer to Mark and to you as well. But what I'm saying is that we should do whatever we have to do to get this building, like I said, and even removing the facade, you know, and the brick veneer, that can come later. But making sure the structure is safe, the utilities are on, the building is cleaned up, the demolition is done, you know, that we cannot delay. So what I was hoping, whatever the costs are, I just need to know them. So I'm good with paying my bills, Mark. I like paying bills, you know, that I'm okay with that. But what I need to know is, can we do the you know, what I've said is stage one, can we do it by the end of January, and what is the cost? And then between now and January, the three of us are going to work on what happens from January 1st until probably Christmas time next year. And that will cost a bunch more money. And during that period, I'm okay with everybody doing all kinds of detailed work. And obviously we need the building plan so that we can file a building permit. And we have to do all of that. But what I don't want to do, Dawn, and what I don't want to do, Mark, is I do not want to spend a lot of time on what happens after January 31st, because if we don't get this building in protected from the water, from the elements, from structural failure, because this is on us now. All right, like if this thing falls down and somebody gets hurt, it's on us, and we just can't take that risk. You know, we're putting a lot of time and effort, and I appreciate all the effort, Dawn, you're putting in. Of course, what you're doing, your team is fantastic, Mark. But it's on us to make sure that this building that was built almost 150 years ago, by the end of January, we are confident that we've got the structural issues addressed, and like I said, the utilities are working. And the building is in a safe condition and clean condition.
Yeah. Well, I can certainly give you a projection. I mean, your projection of end of January, I don't think it's going to take that long to get to where you just mentioned. I forgot to mention
we do need to, Mark, we do need to brace the structure. Mark V told me that the front and the back, we need to find some kind of way of bracing it so that over the winter, like I said, it's you know, we definitely don't want to build a wall to crumble and hurt somebody walking by the building, you know, on Front Street. So what I'd like is, you know, and you're going to lose at least a week, if not 2 weeks for Christmas. Trust me on that. You know, I'm not working between Christmas and New Year's. You know, I work a lot of hours too, but I'm not working between Christmas and New Year's, at least not my day job. And so what I'd like to do is I want you guys to be ruthless in terms of achieving what I call, and we're not that far apart, Mike, but what I'm calling stage one. I want you guys to be ruthless. Do what you have to do to get stage one completed by the end of January. If you can do it sooner, that's fine, but I'm okay with the end of January for that. And then we'll then at January 31st or whenever you finish stage one, we will be ready for stage two, and we can do that planning. But right now, that's the focus. At least that's what I think we should do.
Okay. Well, certainly the bracing is an issue. And that's part of my intention in the conversation with Mark V tomorrow to bring that about. And
if he's too busy, and you want to work with another engineer, I'm okay with that. I mean, that is your choice. You and Dawn make those choices together. And you know, I mean, I understand people are busy. They're busy.
Yeah. Well, that's already in the works. By the end of tomorrow, I'm going to have a position for us in terms of whether we have Mark V perform X amount of work, and at what point in time we bring the other engineer in. So certainly the bracing is an issue we're addressing now. The services, the gas comes on November 5th, and they're going to install a temporary gas-fired heater for the building itself in the back. So that's already arranged.
So Mark, will that gas-fired heater, will that have enough BTU power to heat the building above, you know, hopefully above 15 degrees?
Yeah, yes, that's the thought of Chris and Brad. It's going to be adequate. So I don't know what the BTU is. I think it's 400,000 or something.
Yeah, I would think
it's a big unit.
Yeah, a 400,000 BTU heater, and you could just let the heat rise in the building. You don't need to worry about that. You know, God made the air to convect, right?
Yeah, that's what we discussed, and that's the plan. So they're running pipe from the front, and they've actually contacted the gas company, and C&E are, of course, they've got their tickets. So they're going to be running gas to the back to get us all ready so that we've got heat in the building.
That's fantastic. Okay, so we'll have heat, you have water, you have power. I mean, you guys have made tremendous progress. And by the way, I really have enjoyed the photographs that you've been sending, Mark. And of course, Dawn, you've been taking photographs. So I have been sending those to the investor group, and everybody's really enjoying it. So maybe by the end of next week, and Mark, I don't require a long, you know, detailed report. I just need, here are the things that we're doing. We're going to get it done by sometime in January, hopefully not later than January 31st. And this is the approx. I'm not asking you for the, you know, an estimate of cost to the penny. I don't need that. I just need to know, here's what we're going to spend approximately plus or minus 5%, or even plus or minus 10%, but not plus or minus 50%. Here's what we're going to do between now and January 31st to secure stage one. It's going to cost approximately this amount of money. That's what I need, and that's my job then to make sure that we've got the funding for that. And then you and I, the three of us, will worry about February 1st until maybe Christmas time next year. But I'm estimating about $900,000 to get this completed. Maybe I'm on the low side, I don't know, but you'll help me with that. But right now, I just need to know what we need to do between now and the end of January in terms of what you're doing, what you're working on, what will get completed, what it'll look like at the end of January, and how much. I really need to know that.
Okay.
The other thing is
I'll have that ready for you. I'll have that ready for you by Wednesday.
That's fine. Hang on a second, Mark.
A good thought on how long.
Oh, that's fine. The other thing I was going to ask you is, I think Mike Cotman came today to see the building.
That was Tuesday.
Oh, it wasn't today?
No, it's Tuesday.
Okay, what do I know? Is today Thursday?
Yes.
All day?
All day.
All right. So
I'm just going to switch my phone to private.
So I remember what my burning question was.
just before you do that, I need to know.
Remember I had a question?
Yeah, I do. I want to hear it. But Mark, how did the visit with Michael go?
Excellent, very positive. We did a tour, and I pointed out to him what we were doing. He was fairly impressed. It looks significantly different now than it looked before.
I hear you.
I got him into that end unit, and he loved the pictures. We sent him previous pictures. He took pictures, but I took some pictures and sent them when we got the one side cleaned out, and it looked fairly attractive.
Yeah.
So he's using those pictures. When he took his pictures, we had some dust in the air from the boys cleaning and that. So, and then I forwarded to him the pictures that Don sent me of the building when the metal was off of it, and then the historical picture from the back. And I spent a fair amount of time with them in the back, just explaining to him, the construction, the post and beam construction of the stable. He was very interested, and he was interested in the idea of that back courtyard. He seized on that. And he thought it was a great idea.
I'm so pleased, and I'm really grateful. Dawn, what was your burning question?
My burning question was for Mark. Oh, thank you.
Just to help.
You're just
Thanks, Jamie.
Thank you. My burning question was for Mark, and that is, if we delay the facade to the spring, does that grant have to be used this year?
Oh, no. No, the life of the grant is 2 years. So we've got lots of time. Just depending on priorities, now we want to sort them out. My thoughts on it are, we'd have to have the bracing system in place before I even touch the metal. I think we've got bigger fish to fry to be able to get to your stage one, as described. So we can easily go about it in spring, and we're still in good shape in terms of the grant.
Yeah, I'm so pleased you remembered that, Dawn. Dawn, as you know, is a real detailed person and also very creative. So I'm thrilled that you guys are working together. And Mr. Turner, I'm really pleased that you're in charge with Dawn on this project. It's going to be really fantastic when it's finished. I can't wait to see what it will look like a year from now. All right, I have to go. I've got another coaching assignment to do at 4. That'll be my 5th one today, Dawn. That's a lot for me. But I'll be finished. This one's short. I'll be finished by 5. So can you give my regards to Dale and Virage? And I understand, Mark, you're going to show Dale and Virage through another building.
Yes, I was through it 2 days ago with a customer of mine, and I'm going to give them a tour, and we'll try to give them a little tour of the downtown here, just to give them a taste of the flavor and what have you.
So Dale and Virage are clients of mine, and they're from Toronto, as you know, and they're interested in investing in Belleville. And I told them all kinds of nice things about you, Mark, all lies. And no, no, I'm serious. I told them that if they do buy that building, I think it's 230 Front Street. One of the things I did recommend to them is that 230 Front Street, which is obviously on the other side of the street and has views to the Moira River, that they might be able to do what Zubin Gillespie is doing with his building on that side of the street with views of the river, which is to, to put, a deck or a patio out there and have views of the river. Possibly those units could be on Airbnb. And I said to Dale and Viraj, his partner, that, that could be a very profitable, thing for them to add to that building. And I said, if you need any help, Mark is the man. He's rebuilding all of Front Street, I think. So I said nice things about you. Don, were Dale and Viraj able to go through our building?
Yeah, they did.
Okay.
Yeah, they showed up around 2 o'clock and we spent about 45 minutes with them.
All right. Well, listen, I understand you're going to see them again at 4.
Yes.
Okay. Well, you've got 11 minutes to beetle over there. Mark, thank you very much for this. Dawn, is there anything else?
Yeah, Jamie has a whole package here for you. It looks like listing agreement and all kinds of things, marketing materials. Should I bring that back, or do you want to have a conversation with him at some point?
Is Jamie there right now? No, I will. No, hang on, Mark. I'll have a conversation with him separately. But could you mention to Jamie just before you go that either you, Mark, or preferably Dawn, that just give me a second here again. Oh, come on, Firestone. That Kyle Thompson has inquired about the retail space. Yeah. I need Jamie to know that. Okay.
Yep.
All right.
So bring this paperwork that he has.
Yeah, bring the paperwork home, but I want you to mention to Jamie that Kyle Thompson and called Park Provisioners is interested in the retail space.
Yeah.
Bye, guys.
Okay.
Thanks, Bruce.
Thanks again, Mark.
No problem.